So today we're going to finish up our series of Braving the Wilderness. And little did we know when we started this series that we would actually be in the wilderness in this pandemic. So it's been quite a ride for all of us. So many of us are facing an unknown territory. But I want to thank all of those that are on the front line, the doctors and the nurses and those caring. We have a shot, don't we, of the nurses and doctors? I just wanted to share this for a second. I find them sometimes the most compassionate and loving things on Facebook. What can I say? But this was on there, and this was an adieu to all these amazing people that are really on the front lines, that they're going to New York. This is a plane full of doctors and nurses and practitioners who have said yes to support you and I in the physical plane. So we just give a tribute out to them. They're on a Southwest Airlines, who's also flying them for free. So there's so many ways that we are connecting in this world, so many ways that we are finding that we can express more of our divinity. That is one, and I'm so grateful. So this is our last week, and today we're talking about strong back, soft front, open heart. And when I say last week, it's our last week of Braving the Wilderness. We'll begin to move into Holy Week and Easter next week. But today we're talking about having a strong back, a soft front, and an open heart. So a strong back is about equanimity, about internal calmness, about our capacity to uphold ourselves, our capacity to stand during difficult times. And it sort of means that we're cultivating this ability to maintain a calm mind and an easy presence. So we are a non-anxious presence. That's my intention anyway. It doesn't always happen. But it enables us to be grounded and rooted in the strength of us while remaining flexible and adaptable and open to change. And Lord knows there is a lot of change that's being asked of us right now. So this soft front is about being open to things being different. It's about accepting life as it is rather than longing for it to be different. And I know for me, as Byron Katie said, the only time I really suffer is when I argue with reality, when I argue with what's happening. We shouldn't have to stay at home. We shouldn't have to not be able to hug. We shouldn't have to blah, blah, blah. And that's the mind resisting what is. So having this soft front is about walking through this wilderness experience, being resilient to what is coming to us each and every day. We want to cultivate then this strong back and this soft front within ourselves so that we can sort of weather this time through the storms with strength, with wisdom, but with grace. So that's our work, is to keep our hearts open and to remember who and what we are. We're a child of God, made in the image and likeness of God. We are an individual expression of the one, and we are here to express that even in this pandemic. But so many of us have found ourselves confused, afraid, and hurting. I have. So I want to share with you a conversation with God that was given to me by actually a cousin of mine in Texas. So I'm going to just read it to you, and you'll understand. I'm sure you can find yourself in this conversation. Okay, God, here's the thing. I'm scared. I'm trying not to be, but I am.
I know. Would you like to talk about it?
Do we need to? I mean, you already know.
Let's talk about it anyway. We've done this before.
I know. I just feel like I should be bigger. I should be stronger. I should be something more than I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I'll do everything I can to protect my family, and it won't be enough. I'm afraid of someone that I love might die. I'm afraid that the world won't go back to the way it was. I'm afraid my life is always going to feel unsettled.
Anything else?
Everything else. Everything else. Nothing feels settled. Nothing feels certain.
Remember how your child awoke the other night, and came running down the hallway to your bedroom?
Yes.
You were still awake. So when you heard him running, you started calling out to him before he even got to you. Remember? Do you remember what you called out to him?
I said, "You're okay. You're okay. You're okay."
Why did you call out to him? Why didn't you just wait for him to get to your room?
Because I wanted him to know that I was awake and that I heard him and that he didn't have to be afraid until he reached the end of the dark hallway.
Exactly, my dear daughter. I hear your thoughts racing like feet down the dark hallway. There's another side to all of this. I'm there already. I've seen the end of it. And I want you to know right here and right now as you walk through it, you're okay. I haven't gone to sleep, and I won't.
Okay. Can we just sit together for a while? Can we just sit here a minute before I go back to facing the world?
My dear, there's nothing that I would like better.
Wow. So I found myself there this week of being completely human, of falling in to the fear of the world. There's not enough information. There's not enough resources. There's not enough medicine. There's not enough food. So we're in this frenzy right now. So how do we tackle this big thing called fear? Well, one way is by staying connected. Connected to each other, connected to ourselves, and connected to God. And so we have some extra time now, have you noticed? We have time to do those meditations, to stay connected to the one and to each other. So we are so blessed in this technological time where we can phone with a FaceTime, we can text at any moment, we can Zoom, there's so many ways. We can be on Facebook, and there's ways to stay connected. So we want to move out of isolation into getting connected to each other and to God. And so we also want to trust that God is here and now, as in that conversation. God already knows how this ends. And there is a faith and a trust that we're going to be all right. And secondly, to stay in the present moment. In fearful times, what we do is we project what our fears are into the future. There's not going to be enough money after the stock market crash. There's not going to be enough resources. So staying present to right here, one day at a time. To not jump out too far ahead of any of it. To stay present in love as a non-anxious presence. That's our work. Is to stay faithful. That we will be given all that we need in any given moment. We are offering here in this ministry prayer almost every day. You can call Silent Unity 24 hours a day. So there's so many ways to stay connected. And lastly, to know that the grace of God is at hand. So our work right now is to make room for grace. Make room for more grace to happen. I recently got to watch a video of one of my spiritual teachers who's still in a body, Muji, who lives in Portugal. He's a non-dual teacher. And he has so many wonderful ways of teaching, but he loves Jesus, as I do. And he uses Jesus' teachings. But he said, right now is a critical time for us to awaken. And that's what all of the spiritual teachers are reminding us. Let us use this time of going within. We're so out there in the world, outwardly. Let's use this to go inwardly, to discover the power within us, to discover the innate qualities of God in us. That this time, it's never happened before, where the whole world is at home. We are at home with God. We are at home with one another. We are all at home, and all of the imaginary boundaries have sort of fallen away. It matters not what country you are in, that this pandemic, this virus is affecting every one of us, that we are all in this together. Which was what Reverend Margie shared last week, and the week before, Reverend Larry said, this could be our finest hour. And I believe that we can use this to awaken. And maybe this is a new path to the path of grace, to allow the grace of God to completely take over. That we can let go and allow God to bless us. There are so many ways that those blessings are happening right now. But what we want to do is we want to go within. This is an inwardly experience. And so the great news is that we are awakening, that I'm noticing more and more compassion, that there's more cooperation between our countries. There's more sharing. There's more sense of generosity, so that we are awakening to the innate values within us. Grace comes from God. Grace comes from God. And we are here to find that grace and to allow that grace to bless us. There is a scripture in the Psalms. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. That is, all of my needs are met. He leadeth me beside still waters, that there's a peace that passes all understanding. He restores my soul. He leads me to a path of righteousness. We're looking beyond the appearances to the truth. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. So the shadow of death is this appearance of death, that seems to be chasing us. And that is the fear of the unknown. But God is always with us. There is a one presence and one power. Thou preparest a table for me in the presence of mine enemies, and thou anointest my head with oil. So this beautiful psalm, which actually came before even Jesus' time, it's ancient teachings, saying, I have everything I need to make it through this life experience. We are part of the infinite love and life that has no limits, and nothing can be taken from us, and nothing can diminish who we truly are. That we are spiritual beings made in the image and likeness of the Almighty. And nothing in this outer world can ever change that. This infinite love, which is where we have our being, it's where we live and have our being. We are not apart from this loving God. Dorothy Pearson was a minister. She ministered here, and she was a friend of and a colleague of mine in Sacramento is when I knew her. And she used to have this beautiful saying, I am in the flow of I don't know, but God does. I am in the flow of I don't know, but God does. God knows that something magnificent wants to happen through you, through all of us. So we want to stay present to these miracles, present to allowing this to happen. That this is a path of grace for us. Allow it to be. So the last slide I want to share with you is the slide that Brene Brown reminded us about our spirituality. She says, spirituality is recognizing and celebrating that we are all intricately connected to each other by a power greater than all of us, and that our connection to that power and to one another is grounded in compassion and love. That's who you are. You are the presence of love, the presence of compassion. So during this time of uncertainty, we are not alone. Through this journey, God is here to guide us. There is a bigger consciousness guiding each and every one of us. We must keep our hearts open. We must listen for the voice. We must believe. We will believe.